things, volumes on many different things, because I can hardly imagine that being too. But then again, it's practice, I mean, practice. What's practice? But anyways, maybe it makes perfect sense looking at how Cincinnati went through that defense like a hot knife through butter yesterday. I mean, yesterday, again, was everybody's fault. This is not blame it all on Manziel, just like it wasn't blame it all on Brian Hoyer. You can't tell anybody that, though, but I'm just telling you, you would have got a more professional effort yesterday, because that's where it is. It's just not at that level. That was dropping, I'm going to go back to it, a high-level high school quarterback into an NFL environment. I'm just telling you, man, say what you want, but you can always get better, and he may get better. But when you're starting at a level that rudimentary, good luck watching and waiting for a team to sit through that process, because that's not a 6-month process. That's not a 1-season process. Man, that's building a quarterback from the ground up. And I'll be honest with you, I don't believe that his core skill set is good enough to justify that anyway, because at the end of the day, he's still undersized. He's still got a whole lot of things, and he's not as fast on the NFL level as people were, I don't know why, led to believe, but watching him run away from future stockbrokers of America, because these cats wear caps and sleeves on this level, son. Anyways, now let's go to the phone lines. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. That defense got ran over, by the way, yesterday. It's far from just John Manziel. That defense didn't come to play. Hill said, hey, I'll back up my words, man, and he did, definitely. And that defense was all over the place on the Browns. All of those 3 and out. I mean, literally, I think the entire game was a 3 and out for the Browns yesterday. Let's keep going. Phone's open, and you're first. Caller, what's up?
J-Rock Daddy.
Oh, LG. What's up?
How you doing, J-Rock Daddy?
I'm good. How are you doing, my friend?
Well, this last week I kind of kept a low profile. I didn't call in and give you my Manziel predictions.
Yeah, I know.
Because I knew what was about to happen, and it happened. If you remember, in May, right after the NFL draft, we talked to our good friend Herman Fontenot, who had the opportunity down in Texas to watch Johnny Manziel play college football. And if you remember, Mr. Fontenot told us, Manziel's antics aren't going to work on an NFL player. Steve, two.
Real quick, for those of you guys that don't know, it wasn't on the air, but both LG and I both, and he is right, we both, Herman was one guy. There was a couple of other ones that I've talked to that said the same thing, but Herman was one guy that did definitely say that he was on the side of not going to fly, and he did see him up close a little bit there. But, because a lot of people didn't know that. They're like, what's LG talking about? It wasn't on the air, but, we both had some conversations, and that was one of the players. I mean, hey, that's not a be-all, end-all. There's always players that like a guy, don't like a guy. If I remember right, we've had a few issues with that over the years. But, so anyways, I just wanted people to know what you were referring to.
Well, it's not about not liking the guy. I mean, he didn't have anything
absolutely.
bad to say
Right, absolutely.
About the guy personally speaking, but professionally
and that's what
speaking,
I meant. That's what I meant. As a football player, I could care less if people
professionally
like him
speaking,
or not.
I put more weight on a former NFL playoff contender like Mr. Herman Fontenot than I do on Denny Weiss or anybody like that is a Manziel backing fool. Because I want to tell you something, J-Rock. All you had to do is look at Mike Pettine's face yesterday during the game in the fourth quarter, and what a look of dejection this man had on his face. If this isn't a guy that was forced to make a decision that he knew better than to make and throw out the rest of the Cleveland Browns 2014 season, then my name's not LG, baby. Because I got to tell you something. This had to come down from the same fool that drafted Johnny Manziel, and that fool happens to be Mr. Jimmy Haslam III. I don't believe Ray Farmer wanted to pick Johnny Manziel. This guy's got 6th-round talent picked in the first round. It's another Brandon Whedon debacle all over again, J-Rock Daddy.
Right.
If this guy had everything that he was cracked up to have, they would have played him long before now, brother.
Well, see, and okay, now I know I want to stop you there because you're right. That is the point that I think is the most important one to take out of that. There is the last part, because that was the one thing that many of us were using. Just nobody, again, until you saw what was going to happen. But that was the one thing, Dan Wismar's coming up on us in the next segment, and that was one thing that we kept saying was, at least to me, one of my biggest pauses was, at the end of the day, Mike Pettine is not getting paid to go down with the good ship Hoyer. You know what I mean? He was going to do what was best for business, as the adage goes, what was best for his. To me, the fact that your first-round quarterback could not beat out the career backup, the whatever insult you want to use for Brian Hoyer, and then the fact that Brian Hoyer was able to go through a month of subpar, not the worst quarterback play of all time, but subpar quarterback play, and the ears chirping. You got this guy and that guy up top of you saying, hey, maybe it's time, and Mike Pettine knew that it wasn't time. End of the day, you can think that Johnny's going to improve. He has no choice but to improve from where he's at, but you cannot look at the level he started at and tell me that that's a quick fix at all, because that is just not the case. That is very much Tim Tebow-esque, whether you like it or not, whether you like that or not. The only difference between the two, I've said this a long time, is that one man likes strippers and ace of spades and another guy likes Jesus, and people didn't like that, and people think it's cool to like strippers and not like Jesus, and that's where the people went their opposite ways, besides the fact that neither one of them at the end of the day is an NFL quarterback. They're Heisman-winning, great college quarterbacks who don't translate to the NFL level. End of story.
Well, sometimes, J-Rock Daddy, this Heisman Trophy has turned into a popularity contest, and there's no arguing Johnny Manziel or Tim Tebow's popularity.
And you're right, but let's forget about that. Let's move on from the quarterbacks for a minute. How about the rest of the team effort? Because I truly do believe that team did not give its best effort. I know more guys got hurt. I know Joe Hayden. I know Justin Gilbert. Man, that defensive backfield is raped down to its core. I understand those issues as well, but man, that team was not the same spirit. That was not the same effort. Even when they've lost, they've given effort in almost every game this year. That was not there yesterday. Like I said, I had to go through it once and then watch it again, and I'm like, wow, this is even worse actually seeing it than it was watching it without seeing it with my own two eyes, because it was like, I'm telling you, I hate to say it because I didn't think this team would give up on the season, but I truly believe that they knew where Johnny was. I'm not saying that they don't believe he can get better, but I think they knew when Mike Pettine looked at that locker room and said, hey, this is best thing for the team. They said, no, it's not, and we know that, and they knew that, and they felt, I think, that the Browns were giving up on this season and moving on, and they felt that the Browns gave up on them. So that's the effort that you got yesterday from the Cleveland Browns. It's not fair. It's not good, but it's what happened.
But, J-Rock, you got to give the Cincinnati Bengals a little bit of credit. They came out.
Absolutely.
And they
played.
They saw that the way that they got beat by the Cleveland Browns and the Cleveland Browns defense in Game 1.
Yes.
That was one of Joe Hayden's finest games as an NFL cornerback when he played in busted screen 2 in Game 1 against the Bengals, how they shut down the passes, how they pressured. But when you come out running the football, okay, and you got Big Phil Taylor on the sidelines not playing, and Rubin's been broken up a little bit this year, and guys like that can't be out there to stop the run, to give the Browns defense the best possible, let's stop the run. Everybody knows you can run the football against the Cleveland Browns. And unfortunately, as great as our defense can play, we have had problems stopping the run for the past 3 NFL football seasons. It didn't start yesterday afternoon.
Absolutely. And
it was magnified yesterday afternoon. And unfortunately, it was magnified by the man with the big mouth in the Bengals uniform. How much more do you need rubbed in your face than that if you're a Browns fan?
Oh, I'm with you. I mean, Jeremy Hill, he backed up what he said earlier. He came out to play. They ran all. They just, listen, man, they wanted it, and the Browns did not want to be there. And that's a shame because, like I said, I think the end of this season is going to put a sour taste on a good effort. I get it that they beat some bad teams and all of that, but the effort was there. This was a team, to me, all season long, this was a team that I think Browns fans should like as a team. Like, there's years that you just go, man, that's just an ugly team. But this team gave you an honest day's effort day in and day out. You know, and I can dig a team like that. At the end of the day, I can dig an Indians team like that come like last season. A team that comes, brings their lunch pail to work every day. You know, I can dig that, man. And I thought that this should have ended 7, 8, 9 wins, somewhere in there. Hoyer getting you through the season. Nobody has a clue how not ready Johnny was. Everybody thinks that he was just chilling on the bench, getting warmed up and being safeguarded. Meanwhile, think of the difference in how this season ends, how the fan base feels, hell, how the Browns themselves feel about their season when now you spent 6 weeks with the ridiculous media speculation with the quarterback every week. And then for 2 weeks we played the I'm not going to budge game and then finally budge. And then all of this, I'm sorry, I think it changes, especially if this season tails out like I unfortunately think it's going to. I think after seeing what we saw yesterday, if the Browns come out and score again the rest of the season, I'll be moderately happy with that because the effort shown yesterday showed me a team that has checked out for the final 2 weeks of the season, and that's going to be a losing streak to lose out the season, a quarterback controversy, and perhaps the Manziel bubble being burst to everybody's hopes and dreams. That's a hell of a way to end a season that halfway through was one of the more uplifting Brown seasons in recent years.
Jeff, we can't take away the fact that the Browns still have 7 wins on the scoreboard this year. And let me tell you another thing that I'm a little bit disappointed in. The Browns made a move on Saturday by waiving Billy Cundiff. Unfortunately, boy wonder, Johnny Football never even got the Browns in the field goal range, man. Now, you can say what you want about Brian Hoyer, and I heard you say this in the first segment of the show today. Brian Hoyer would have gave you a better performance than what we saw yesterday. Brian Hoyer would have at least got the Cleveland Browns into the red zone. And I got to tell you something, J-Rock Daddy. You don't get born with talent to make it into the NFL simply by being drafted in the first round of an NFL pick. I'm unfortunately predicting Johnny Manziel is going to be a bust. I told people from the beginning of Whedon's career after the first preseason game I thought of Brandon Whedon. Yes, sir.
I said I know you did, and you did, and you texted me yesterday. Very, very similar. What do you think? Seriously, let's get off of that train and look at there are still 2 weeks to go in this football season. And again, I go to that adage when we were talking about the quarterback, half jesting, but it can't get worse. Oh, yes, it can. Again, can it get better or can it get worse? There's still 2 weeks to go. Obviously, you need to see better play all the way around so that you can hopefully see some better play out of the quarterback position. But you've got Carolina and then you've got the Ravens, and the Ravens, you know, should be in a position where they're playing for something. They're going to be foaming at the mouth there. I mean, that team that showed up yesterday doesn't strike me as a team that goes out to ruin somebody else's season. They're not going to get motivated to go out there and ruin the Ravens season because they strike me as a team that's ready to start the offseason today, and they just happen to have 2 games left to play.
Well, J-Rock Daddy, the problem is this. You're a wrestler. You know what it is to go out and do battle, and you know how much dedication and preparation it takes to get your game face on and get into that ring and fight for your win, correct?
Well, to an extent, but I do some battle, and I definitely put my game face on. So, yeah, I know what you're saying.
What I'm saying to you is, suppose right before you're ready to go into the game, somebody comes and kicks you as hard as they possibly can in the kahunas, baby. I mean, think about this. The Browns management, whether it started with Jimmy Haslam, Ray Farmer, Mike Pettine, I don't care who made the decision to pull out the quarterback that gave you 7 wins this season while you're still in the middle of a playoff hunt, okay? You've been kicked in the kahunas, baby.
Well, and you know what? That's a good point, LG, because you guys can say what you want about Hoyer's body of work trending downwards or whatever, but again, I think the body language, I think the way the team played speaks exactly to what Larry just said on that point right there, man. You really, I'm telling you, say what you want, but Hoyer could have finished out a 500 season here and it would have been. It had none of this